Alright, so what I'm doing here is designing just some simple spacers for this mini for a piece of aluminum I'm cutting. Just kind of want to show you guys what I'm doing here because I do a decent amount of 3D printing and everything. So show you the combination of all that. So right here we're in Tinkercad. This is a free online CAD file you can use. So what we're doing is we're getting our shape in here, just a standard cylinder. And we're just piping in the length we want it, millimeters width, so a 25 millimeter cylinder, and that's how we want our spacers to be. Just normally use millimeters because in 3D printing, a lot of all your stuff's normally always in millimeters, whether it's your plate size or anything, but we only need it to be about 14 mil tall, and now we just need to put the hole in it. So what you do is get your shaded cutout piece here and just put it down, and then make that how big you want your center hole to be. So we want this unit to be, I think, 10 millimeter. So we'll make it a 10 by 10. And so this will be the hole in the center of our thing. So, like I said, this is something I learned just by getting a printer, a 3D printer, and just learning how to design my own parts. I feel like once you're designing your own parts, you can really capitalize on your printer. So once we take this ruler, we're just going to use it to find our midpoints. So 13.5 and 12.5. Now when you click on your hollow piece here, you're going to see it's 49 and 16. So you just make those 13.5 and then 12.5, and that's going to set that piece directly in the center of that unit. So now you just want to make sure you're going through it. You know, sometimes I'll do it like this and just push it down a little bit just to verify, and then you want to highlight your whole part, and then once you highlight it, you want to like bond it, or I don't know what's called, union it. So you'll union that part, click on that, and then when you look at it now, boom, you have a hole in your unit and you got a perfect little part to make. Now you want to rename your thing because they always have these crazy weird names, and just put something in there, that way you know what it is when you see it in your files. So this will be our plate spacers because that's what they are. You want to export these files. They're an STL file, that's what most printers use. And then we'll just go over to our slicing software. I use Orca. Just seems like it's a good solid one, and it's what I've used ever since I started printing a couple years ago. So we'll just start a new project. We'll import our file, and then we'll just go to the plate spacers we got. We'll open that, and then that's it. It sets it down on there for you, and then you can clone that, and then depending on how many copies of this you want, it'll just have those on there, and then you're done. You slice your file. This will kind of show you what it ends up looking like, but I think I'm gonna make this a little bit more dense, a little more infill inside the unit, so that way maybe they're a little bit stronger. And then also, I think I forgot where to look, but I'm looking for the brim in this, and brim is basically what, when you print it, the outer edges. So you'll see those circles are normal and just round, but if you put your brim on, it'll give you a little more bed surface to adhere your part to. So that's kind of nice on small parts sometimes if you're having issues with your bed. Just stuff maybe not wanting to stick or stay or just be exactly how you want them to be. You can add a brim, inner or outer. Sometimes it just depends what you're doing, and then that'll just give you more surface area on your bed plate, and then you'll just, a lot of times it just saves you from having to reprint or anything. But stuff's pretty simple, and if you guys have any questions about 3D printing or anything, let me know, because I really enjoy this stuff, and I like learning how to do new stuff, and this design aspect of this is, obviously this is a pretty rudimentary design, it's just a circle with a hole in it, but you start with that, and then next thing you know, you're doing something different. So now we have our plate sliced, and you can see that extra blue on the inside and outside. That's your brim, but, this is just telling you, it's going to take an hour to print these parts. It's going to cost 25 cents. That's got about my price of filament and stuff in. Pretty cheap, and a lot cheaper than if you went to the store. So pretty simple.
Alright, so what we got going on here is we're making this console piece for this mini excavator to house our switch bank and our hour meter. So back in Tinkercad, like the previous video, and we're just getting our sizes down. So we got two 279 by 70. It's about the size of our plate on this one. So we're getting that done. Set it on here, and then we got to do a cutout of the hour meter and a cutout for the switch box. So first thing is the hour meter. We'll set that there. That's going to be a 53 millimeter circle. So just do 53 on both of those, and that'll give us our hour meter. We'll set that where that needs to go and line it up so we know it's in the center both ways. But this is just another good example of how you can make something really pretty simple but get a lot better use out of either whatever you're trying to work on, where you don't have to worry about, well, where am I going to put this, or how am I going to do this, when you, well, I'll just cut this section out and make my own spot for it. So it's pretty nice to be able to use the 3D printer for that kind of stuff. But this will be the cutout for the switch box, and that's going to be 40 millimeters by 126. But I really do like Tinkercad. I don't have any experience with 3D print or really with CAD or anything, and it's been pretty simple to use, and I've made lots of different parts and pieces for stuff around the house or stuff for other people, but it's just pretty simple, and you can't get as complex as like a real CAD software, but I don't know how to operate those, and they're kind of just a pain in the butt to me. I've tried to learn, but I don't know, I haven't spent enough time working on them. So this is the plate here, and the other things I'm going to end up doing on this, which you'll see, is I'm going to add the corner holes to mount it. I'm also going to add a center hole for a screw or something, which I might end up making a monetary or like a horn button for the center. So that's that, and you'll see the rest of that, and I'll show you guys in the video later.
Alright, we're gonna finish up cutting this out for our new faceplate that I made on my 3D printer. So this is just gonna go on here. Just got it taped up and marked out what we need to cut so we can mount that there and put our new switch panel in with the voltmeter here. So we'll get rid of the voltmeter on that, and then the hour meter to fit in there. So we'll get that cut out and make sure that all fits. Alright, got all that cut out. Now I guess all we gotta do is make sure it all fits. Just the hour meter in here. Alright, gotta notch a little bit more out. Alright, just like that. I'm gonna end up having to sand these corners off. I just notched them off since I'm not great at trying to understand how to make a radius on that, but so that's all on there. The only other things I'll end up doing is marking and drilling my holes in here to mount this, but I just wanted to verify that this plate would work. You know, I knew my measurements were right for this stuff, but get it all set and cut so that way I can start getting my wires ran for all this. So this is one step further. Next thing I'll end up doing with this is just mounting this bracket on here. That way it's not coming on and off. But I'll do that off camera sometime, and then I'm going to end up coming through here with a little bit of sandpaper or a knife and cleaning all these edges up, take these burrs off that, and then that'll make it so I can start getting this stuff all back on there. Alright, the other thing I wanted to show you guys was we did get another part in, and I think a lot of people that get one of these units will kind of end up wanting to have one of these. This is, let me see if I can show you. This is a cushion valve, and this is for the swing motor. So what it is you got your in and your out, and you can take these off and adjust it so you how much pressure can really go through there. So people say if they're swinging it with a full load and they stop suddenly, that it can actually break the tabs off of the swing motor or shear that gear. So this is basically to help alleviate that issue. It gives it a little bit more cushion. So I won't be putting that on here soon, and show you guys how to do that. But other than that, I think this is going to be a short video this week, so we're not really going to probably get into a whole lot more. I might go ahead and get this valve ready to be put in there, but other than that, that's going to probably be it for this week. Alright, so for the cushion valve I got, which I can link, you're just going to need a few things. Obviously, you're going to have your fittings. They only can go in one way. So that's your O-ring side down. So, or seal or whatever. So that means you don't really want to crank this thing to the point where it's going to tear that. Now, what I'm going to do regardless is anytime I put a fitting like this in is I'm going to tape it. And then I'm also going to go ahead and put a little dope on it. So that's what I do, right or wrong, I don't know. And then these fittings will use a 3/4 inch wrench. So like I said, it doesn't have to be crazy tight, but you do want it tight. Now, if you use pipe tape or tape, Teflon, whatever, you know, it only goes on one way, because if you put it on the wrong way, it'll just come off as you thread it. So I always like to hold the fitting down and then wrap it over top of it. And then I've always heard people say at least 3 wraps. So let's get that wrapped up. 1, 2, 3. So pair that. And I really like that blue monster tape. Just seems a lot more substantial than the normal white Teflon. Then your pipe dope, you just want just a little bit right on the beginning threads, and then it'll push its way up through your threads. We're just going to get this block prepped and ready. Alright, that should be that. Do the other 3 and get back with you. So this kit comes with the hoses you need. They're about 2 foot long, and then they just thread in here, and then they have an O-ring on the inside of them as well to help seal them. So you put these hoses on the V1 and V2, and then they'll go from here to your swing motor. And the ones that are on your swing motor will go on the C1 and C2. Oh, not 3/4. I want to make sure you leave the caps in the ends, that way you don't get anything down in there until you're ready to hook them up. All right, there's that. We'll see what it takes to get it in the machine. All right, so this right here is your swing motor. So when you press your thing to go one way, push fluid into this, and it has a gear on there that drives your center gear, and that's what allows you to spin and swing. So this is what we're going to be unhooking. We're going to be unhooking the lines here, and we're just going to put them right back in the same spot. So whatever one is on the top, we're going to put on one, and whatever one's on the bottom, we're going to put on two. And then we're just going to route these into that. So it's not really, I didn't really plan on doing this tonight, but I think we're just going to see how it goes. So that's 17 millimeter on these. So we'll just spin these off. Hopefully there's not a bunch of pressure in them. Just give them a little wiggle. Now these do have the O-ring on there, like I said, so definitely want to verify that that is not torn or in bad shape. So this is the top. Out from behind there. So there's that. I'd really like to be able to get it maybe over here, or at least put some sort of big zip tie on to hold it kind of up in that area so it's not laying on these hoses all the time. But that's kind of where we're at, maybe like right there. Could run a zip tie in through them and hold it. Or if we need to work on it, we can cut those and get them out, or maybe it could just sit right there. I'm gonna strap it down to that. Either way, that's a cushion valve. That's it put in. This battery wasn't in a good place to begin with, so we can do something there with that. Whether that's just move the bracket and then bolt it down right here. Don't really want to do that, but we'll figure out a good spot for it one way or the other. Just another thing to add to the list of stuff I need to figure out and do. Just don't think there's a good other way to get this whole thing. I mean, obviously I could do something with these and maybe pull them over. I could get this battery back in here somewhere, but we'll just have to see. I mean, it could almost sit like that, and that wouldn't be too terrible. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about it. I have a feeling it's going to stay up here. Now that these lines are on there, it doesn't look too bad. Like I said, the deck sits all the way up here, so you do have a lot of room for that, but still need to figure out where we're going to mount some of the other stuff, and still need to get this electrical work done. So that's probably going to be it for this video. I might try to get some of this other stuff pre-routed and ran before I make my next video on the electrical stuff, just so I can have it already most of the way done, so I don't have a super long video on that. But yeah, that's where we're at for today, and let me know what you guys think. I mean, it's getting there. That's all I can say. Oh, I could probably just do this, right? Go ahead and do this. Did go ahead and get this muffler guard in. So it's just, I think just fiberglass and a reflective heat shield. Maybe we'll just, look at that. Let's do that real quick. 5/16 hex head. I tried to put it on there, but I couldn't get it on with this muffler extension or whatever the heck this thing's supposed to be. So hopefully that'll mitigate some heat. Just kind of force it to come out where it's supposed to and everything. So this through. These back in there before I lose or forget about them. Sure no one's ever done. None of you guys ever done that. Next thing you know, you're wondering why your tailpipe fell off. And it wasn't because of the cheap, garbage Chinese self-tappers you didn't replace and you just put back in it. It's because you forgot to put them in. All right. Well, that's stripped out. Whew. Two out of three ain't bad. All right. Again, guys, if anyone's got questions or anything about this, the cushion valve or any of that stuff, if you got questions of why I'm doing something one way or not doing something else, just hit me up, let me know. I mean, I'm interested to hear your comments. If this helps you, that'd be great to know too. I mean, this isn't, I'm just making these videos because I feel like a lot of people have these units and there's not a ton of true in-depth content for them. So let me know what you think. I'm going to keep making them whether you do or not, but thanks.